A stick figure teenager in a red and blue Spider-Man costume crouches on a rooftop edge at night, head down, shoulders slumped, while a faint, ghostly silhouette of an older man stands behind him in the shadows. An elderly stick figure man with glasses and cardigan lies motionless on a dark street, a single spotlight illuminating his body while a smaller figure runs toward him in the distance. Two stick figures stand in a 1960s comic book office, one holding a pencil and the other gesturing at a blank page with a spider sketch, both with determined expressions. A young stick figure boy in casual clothes sits on a bed, hands covering his face, with torn newspaper clippings about a robbery scattered around him on the floor. The same stick figure stands in front of a full-length mirror wearing a homemade Spider-Man costume, but his reflection shows the ghost of Uncle Ben looking disappointed. A stick figure in Spider-Man costume swings through a minimalist city skyline, but a heavy chain is attached to his ankle, dragging behind him. Three movie posters, side by side, showing different Spider-Man stick figures, each with the same elderly man lying at their feet in the same pose. A stick figure Peter Parker sits at a school desk, surrounded by floating thought bubbles, each containing the image of Uncle Ben's face with different expressions of wisdom. A faceless publishing executive stick figure in a suit points at a graph labeled Sales with an upward arrow, while Uncle Ben's ghost is chained to the chart. The Spider-Man stick figure hangs upside down from a web, reaching down toward Uncle Ben's ghost, but their hands remain inches apart, unable to touch. A therapy office scene with a stick figure sitting on a couch across from a therapist, but the therapist's chair is empty except for Uncle Ben's ghost sitting there. Multiple superhero stick figures stand in a row: Batman, Superman, Iron Man, each with a grave marker at their feet bearing different names. A young stick figure Peter kneels beside Uncle Ben's body in an alley, while above them a sign reads "Origin Story Required" in neon letters. The Spider-Man stick figure carries an oversized gravestone on his back, like a backpack, while trying to swing through the city, barely staying airborne. Uncle Ben's stick figure stands frozen, like a statue, on a pedestal labeled Perfect Father Figure, while museum visitors walk past, taking photos. A comic book panel grid showing the same scene repeated 8 times, Uncle Ben falling, with only slight variations in angle. Peter Parker's stick figure sits at a typewriter with crumpled papers around him, each paper showing the words, "I'm sorry," written over and over. A scale with Uncle Ben's ghost on one side and a pile of saved citizens on the other, with the Uncle Ben side always heavier. Spider-Man's stick figure stands in a spotlight on a stage, bowing, while puppet strings extend up from his wrists to hands labeled Marvel Editorial. A young stick figure child receives a comic book from a parent, the cover showing Spider-Man, while a thought bubble shows them learning pain equals purpose. Uncle Ben's stick figure sits alone in a blank white room, reading a book titled How to Be a Tragic Motivation, looking bored. Peter Parker's stick figure reaches toward a door labeled Healing and Therapy, but a giant red hand labeled Brand Identity blocks his path. A row of tombstones in a graveyard, each labeled with names: Uncle Ben, Gwen Stacy, Captain Stacy, while Spider-Man's stick figure plants flowers at each one. The Spider-Man stick figure runs on a treadmill that's actually a hamster wheel, with Uncle Ben's ghost painted on the inside wall, forever chasing but never reaching. A stick figure Peter as a child, a teenager, and an adult stand in a line, each one carrying a progressively larger photograph of Uncle Ben. A movie theater scene with stick figure audience members watching a screen showing Uncle Ben's death, all of them crying, while a "Repeat Showing" sign blinks. Uncle Ben's ghost sits in a writer's room with stick figure executives around a table, and someone crosses out character development and writes "Stays dead." Spider-Man's stick figure balances on a tightrope stretched between 2 buildings, with Uncle Ben's ghost as a weight tied to his ankle. A vending machine labeled Superhero Origin Stories dispenses action figures, each one packaged with a tiny coffin accessory. Peter Parker's stick figure looks at a photo album, every single page showing the same picture of Uncle Ben smiling, nothing else in his entire life documented. A corporate boardroom with stick figures in suits examining a chart labeled Emotional Leverage, with Uncle Ben's silhouette in the center of a target. Spider-Man's stick figure sits exhausted on a building ledge at sunrise, holding a 60 years service medal with no retirement in sight. Uncle Ben's stick figure stands behind glass in a museum display case labeled Narrative Device, Do Not Touch, while visitors take selfies. A split screen showing Real Grief on one side, with a person in therapy healing over time, and Peter Parker on the other side, stuck in the same moment forever. The Spider-Man stick figure removes his mask to reveal he's crying, but the mask itself has Uncle Ben's face printed on the inside. A gravestone for Uncle Ben with fresh flowers, but the epitaph reads, "Created to die. Mission accomplished," while Peter's stick figure kneels before it in the rain.